Massive two-story high machine taking up an entire room in a polytechnic university. When I was studying at a polytechnic university, I came across this huge machine in one of the rooms in the main building. It takes up 2 floors in height and fills the entire room. I never found out what it actually was, and it has been bugging me ever since. Does anyone know what this machine is and what it might be used for in a polytechnic institute or university setting? You found yourself in a high-voltage pulse laboratory, where a Marx generator is installed, a device capable of producing powerful electrical pulses with voltages of up to millions of volts. What kind of giant is this? It is a high-voltage pulse generator. The main elements are tall columns with gray rings, insulators and stages of charge accumulation, ball-shaped domes, evenly distribute the electric field and prevent corona discharge. Copper pipes and balls are current-carrying elements that participate in the formation of an arc. The yellow chamber with portholes is probably a vacuum chamber for testing under controlled conditions. How it works: 1. The capacitors are charged in parallel. 2. The dischargers are triggered synchronously, connecting the stages in a circuit. 3. A powerful pulse, 0.5 to 5 MV, is released. 4. Equipment testing is carried out, from transformers to lightning rods. Where is it used? In universities and research institutes, to study the behavior of materials under extreme loads. In the energy sector, to test the insulation of power lines. In the defense sector, in the development of EMP weapons and lightning protection systems. Interesting fact: one of the largest installations of this type is located in Istra, near Moscow. It can generate lightning bolts up to 150 meters long and more than 3 million volts. What could it be? I found it in my grandfather's garage. Answer: you found an old World War I army lighter, probably British or French made. These devices were portable, metal, securely locked, and often attached to the equipment with a ring, like in your photos. What is it? This is a trench lighter, also known as a trench lighter. Its features: the wick was located inside the body, which was filled with kerosene or other fuel. Air intake holes and a mechanical cover protected the flame from the wind. A metal ring allowed it to be worn around the neck, belt or backpack. A simple design with flint ignition. The flint hit the wheel and caused a spark. A little history: during the First World War, lighters began to be actively made by hand from used cartridge cases, scrap metal or equipment elements. Over time, factory versions similar to yours began to appear. They became an important element of soldiers' everyday life. They were used not only for smoking, but also for starting fires in the field. An interesting fact: these lighters were so popular among soldiers that many of them took them home as souvenirs. Today, they are considered collectible items, especially if the original mechanism or manufacturer's markings are still intact. If you're interested, I can show you similar lighters in good condition or draw a diagram of how they worked internally. Dear friends, there are many videos on this topic on my channel. Subscribe and like to know when the videos are released. Huge tank for what? Taken in southern Alberta. It's a huge tank with a hatch. What's its specific purpose? The photo shows a giant industrial tank truck being transported along a highway in southern Alberta, Canada. This is not just a reservoir, but most likely an oil field separator or a horizontal storage tank designed to operate as part of an oil or gas infrastructure. What is it? It is a horizontal high-pressure reservoir typical of the Western Canadian oil and gas industry. Its functions may include separation of oil, water and gas, inside partitions, traps and settling zones, storage of oil, water or chemicals before pumping, buffer storage before being fed into a pipeline or processed. Features: large diameter and weight, requiring special equipment for transportation, manhole/manholes and process pipes for maintenance and connection, anti-corrosion coating, black color, indicates use in corrosive environments, side-mounted design, typical of horizontal mounted separators. Where it is used: at oil wells and bush sites, at primary oil treatment facilities, oil battery, at gas compressor stations, in agriculture, less often for storing liquid fertilizers or silage masses, but almost never in such a size. Interesting fact: in Canada, especially in the provinces of Alberta and Saskatchewan, such tanks are built directly to order for a specific field. Some of them can hold up to 500,000 liters, and their internal structure includes complex systems of partitions, safety valves, and heat exchangers. Dear friends, now it's your turn. I'm showing you this mysterious object, and you must write the correct answer in the comments. Whoever answers correctly will be promoted to the next video. Houston, there's a Chick-fil-A being built across the street. What is for? Water storage? This is a modular underground detention drainage system designed to temporarily store rainwater or wastewater under parking lots, buildings, or roads. These systems are particularly common in the United States and are often installed before the construction of commercial properties, including restaurants like Chick-fil-A. How it works: these corrugated metal pipes, typically made of galvanized steel or aluminum, are laid in the ground and connected to each other. And when it rains heavily, water from roofs, roads, and sidewalks flows into this system, where it accumulates and then slowly drains into stormwater sewers or the ground. This prevents flooding, soil erosion, and overloading of the city's sewer system. Why it's important: in Houston, a city prone to frequent rainfall and flooding, these systems are mandatory for new commercial developments. This design is not just a reservoir, it is an engineering solution for sustainable infrastructure that meets the requirements of the stormwater detention system. I found this item at a sale, but what kind of junk did I buy? The photo shows an antique gasoline blowtorch, probably manufactured by Unique MFG Company, Chicago. This device was actively used from the end of the 19th to the middle of the 20th century in plumbing, carpentry, and repair work, before the advent of safer gas burners. The principle of operation: the body was filled with a flammable liquid, usually gasoline. Then the fuel was heated using a wick or an external source. Pressure was created by a manual pump, and a powerful jet of flame came out through the nozzle. Such a tool was used to heat up soldering, burn paint, repair car bodies, and even defrost locks in cold weather. At the time, it was an indispensable tool for craftsmen, despite the risk of explosion if used improperly. Today, these lamps have become collectible antique items. I found this thing in my kitchen in my old house, and it's supposed to be used for squeezing something. Can you tell me what it is? This item is an antique brass lemon or citrus press made in Czechoslovakia. Its design is based on a screw mechanism. When the handle is turned, the screw slowly lowers the massive piston, crushing the half lemon, orange, or lime placed in the lower bowl. A spout for draining the juice was usually located in the side opening. This type of device was particularly valued for its mechanical simplicity and durability, with no rubber or spring components. Material: brass does not rust, is easy to clean, and retains its appearance for a long time. No contact with plastic acids, unlike modern presses. These presses were often used in cafes, bars, or home kitchens in the mid-20th century, especially in Central and Eastern Europe. An interesting fact is that this type of mechanism was also used in pharmacies and laboratories, for example, to extract extracts or herbal tinctures. A small square metal object made of iron or copper, found in the northwest of France. It appears to be from the time of World War II, but it looks like something inside has turned to powder. On top, it has an inscription that reads JJ, which is the size of a Zippo lighter. I can't figure out what it is. You're absolutely right. The photo really depicts German chlorine bottles, German Chlornitronpatron, used during the Second World War. These were small containers filled with bleach, calcium hypochlorite, used as a disinfectant. What is it? These are disinfection cartridges produced by the Wehrmacht and other structures of the Third Reich. The body is made of bakelite, less often aluminum, hermetically sealed, inside powder or tablets based on active chlorine. How did it work? 1. Open the lid and remove the chlorine filler. 2. Dissolve the powder in water to create a concentrated hypochlorite solution. 3. Use it to treat soldiers' uniforms after contamination, including chemical contamination, and medical instruments, or wounds and bandages, or water for drinking in the field. Why is this important? The compactness and long shelf life made these cartridges indispensable in the field. Chlorine bottles were part of the standard equipment in medical and engineering units. They were also used for decontaminating bunkers, trenches, and rooms after the use of chemical weapons. An interesting fact: on some specimens, you can see markings such as Hottengifttungspatronen, skin decontamination cartridges, or Chlorkalk chlorine lime. The color markings on the lid indicated the type of content or purpose. I bought this at a flea market, and the seller doesn't know what it is. Can you tell me what it's for? This object is an ancient bronze mirror, probably from the Bronze Age or the early Iron Age. Why is this a mirror? A shape, round or oval plate with a long handle, typical of ancient mirrors. A material, a green patina indicates bronze, a popular material in ancient times. Decorations, star-shaped engraving and rivets on the back are decorative elements often found in cult or funeral mirrors. Or absence of a reflective surface, such mirrors were often covered with polishing or silvering, which eventually wore off. Where they were used, ancient Egypt, bronze mirrors were a sign of high status. Etruscans, Greeks, and Romans, they were often found in women's graves as a symbol of beauty and the soul. Scythians and Sarmatians, Eurasian similar shapes were found in burial mounds. An interesting fact, in ancient times, mirrors often played a magical role. They could be used for rituals, divination, and communication with the other world. The star-shaped pattern on the reverse side may symbolize the celestial or divine. I found a strange object, a wooden plate with thick, sharp spikes. It looks like a brush, but it's very hard. What could it be? This is a handheld flax comb, also known as a geckle, or flax brush. It was used in the traditional processing of flax in the final stage to produce long, clean fibers that were ready for spinning. These tools were essential for home textile production and were found in peasant households throughout Europe, Russia, and America until the early 20th century. How it worked: dry flax stalks were manually pulled through rows of sharp teeth attached to a wooden base. The teeth broke up and peeled off the woody part of the stem, removing any remaining husks and debris. The fibers were combed, straightened, and cleaned, becoming soft and parallel, perfect for spinning. Design and features: the teeth were made of wood, later of metal. They were arranged vertically and very tightly. A base and handle: the wooden frame could be fixed to a table or wall, and the top part was used as a handle for holding. A shape: the massive rectangular design with downward angled teeth provided stability and efficiency in use. Historical context: these combs were part of a complete cycle of manual processing of flax: breaking, crushing the stems, threshing, milling, removing coarse residues, carding, bleaching, cleaning and smoothing the fibers using such a comb. Flax production was a laborious and painstaking process, and tools like this comb were central to the home craft. Such objects were often decorated with simple carvings or marks of the master and were inherited. It looks like it's made from some kind of bullet casing. Anyone shed any light? It's bronze, not too heavy. It's around 10 centimeters long. I found this in my late father's belongings. He was a war child. I think it's made from a bullet. What can I do with this, like a museum, collector, etc., so it does not spend its life in a drawer? You found a really interesting item. It's a vintage pocket carpenter's tool, most commonly known as a pocket gimlet set or a brass multi-tool. It's likely that it was made by hand or in a small batch, perhaps even in the field, hence the theory that the body is made of a brass cartridge case, which is quite possible and typical for the times of war or the post-war period. What is it? It's a compact set for drilling and making holes in wood or other soft materials. Inside, there are interchangeable attachments: an awl, a corkscrew, a drill, and a countersink. The attachments are inserted into the side hole, forming a T-shaped handle for easy rotation of the tool. How to use: 1. Remove the attachment from the body. 2. Insert it into the side hole. 3. Obtain a convenient T-shaped handle. 4. Use it as a corkscrew, awl, or mini drill in field or household situations. Historical context: the period, late 19th century to mid-20th century. A commonly found among military personnel, hunters, carpenters, amateur radio enthusiasts, and travelers. A compactness and versatility are the main advantages. These kits were often handmade using readily available materials, such as cartridge cases. What to do with it? If you don't want it to gather dust in a drawer, take photos in good light and show the complete set. You can offer it to museums of technology history, weapons, or local historical museums. Alternatively, you can put it up for auction/collectors forum, for example, eBay, Etsy, Gunboards forum, antique forums. Turkish towel, as referenced on airplane wax container, have a few unopened containers of arrow sheen. Not sure how old they are, guessing around 1975, found at great-grandparents' old house. When reading the back, we saw text that said Turkish towel recommended, and we were curious what that was. but I didn't have any luck searching online for that or any information on this plain wax. I starred where it mentions the towel in the photos in green. This is a retro bottle of Aero Sheen, an aviation polishing product that was popular in the United States in the mid-20th century. The product was manufactured by Gregg Chemical Corporation in Cleveland, Ohio. What is this item? Aero Sheen is a specialized aircraft polishing and protective wax based on a multi-silicone formula. It was designed for the care of aircraft fuselages and other external parts. Features: contains liquid wax and silicones that create an almost impenetrable protective film. Promises a mirror-like shine without the need for pre-cleaning or polishing. Prevents fade caused by wind and UV, oxidation and contamination from fuel and rain, the formation of microcracks and chalky deposits on the paint. It also contains an antioxidant that prevents the degradation of the varnish. Interesting details. Sold directly for $6.95. By the standards of the 1960s, this is not cheap. Collectible value. Today, such packaging is an antique rarity and may be of interest to collectors of aviation and model aircraft, retro chemists/design, museum workers or historians of American industry, or as a decorative element in the mid-century modern style. What is the reasoning for doing this? Is this just an in case, or what? Why would they even put the ashtray in there? The photo shows a plain toilet door with a sign that says, "No smoking in lavatory." Smoking is prohibited in the toilet, and a built-in ashtray right below it. It may seem like a contradiction, but it's actually for safety reasons. Here's why. According to FAA aviation regulations, in the United States, and similar international rules, even if smoking is completely prohibited on board, there must be an ashtray in the toilet. The reason is simple. People may still try to smoke in secret. If this happens, a safe way to dispose of the cigarette butt is needed, so that it is not thrown into a bin with combustible tissues and paper. The ashtray is made of fire-resistant metal and prevents the fire. History and context. Until the 1990s, smoking on board was common. Since then, it has been completely banned. Nevertheless, the safety infrastructure remains, both fire extinguishers and ashtrays. The absence of an ashtray is a violation of the rules, for which the airline can be fined. Found in my dad's old box from 1987, no idea what this is. Help. The photos depict an antique personal sealing wax stamp, or wax seal stamp, used for sealing letters and documents. It is a handmade item, often with an individual engraved symbol or the owner's initials. What it is and how it worked. Purpose. The stamp was used to press a heated sealing wax drop, creating a unique impression. Materials. Wooden handle, metal engraved stamp part. At the ends, two different symbols are visible, probably one with a crown and the other with a letter or coat of arms. This indicates that the stamp is personal or decorative in nature. A bit of history. These seals have been used since ancient times, but they were particularly popular in the 18th and 19th centuries and until the mid-20th century, especially among officers, writers, notaries, and wealthy individuals. Even in the 1980s, they were sometimes used for ceremonial letters, wedding invitations, or antique-style business documents. Interesting fact, your find is not just a retro accessory, but an object that carries a sign of status, individuality, and tradition. Even if the father did not use it, the very fact of its possession can tell a lot about his taste and attention to detail. What in the world, too, is this mechanical thingamabob that my dad sent along with a picture of an excess solder remover pump? The photo shows two completely different devices, each with its own function. The first device is a bicycle dynamo. It is a mechanical generator of electricity that was installed on old bicycles. When a cyclist rides, the wheel rubs against a rubber roller, spinning the generator. It generates current, powering the headlights or rear light. The principle of operation. The metal housing is the housing of the generator itself. The black roller with a gear is pressed against the tire of the wheel. A rotation is transmitted to the generator, which generates current for the lamp. The trick, it works without batteries. While you're driving, the headlights are on. But you brake, and everything goes out. The second device is a handheld solder sucker. This is a tool for removing molten solder from printed circuit boards. It is used in the repair of electronics. How it works: 1. You heat the place with solder with a soldering iron. 2. Press the button and the pump inside sucks the molten solder in a sudden motion. 3. Clean, neat, and you can dismantle the component. Construction. The red body is the pump with a spring. The white nose is the heat-resistant tip that touches the solder. The button on top activates the suction. An interesting point, your father sent both devices, one from the last century of electrics, a dynamo for a bicycle, the other from modern electronics, a suction pump for solder. The contrast is very symbolic. One gives current, the other removes it. Thank you for watching. Write in the comments which items are unclear to you, and I will be happy to explain them. Please like and subscribe to the channel.